maker, and it seemed like that story was just about over. And we didn't really want to do a prequel, and we really didn't want to do anything. We wanted to do another ice cream man.
Yeah.
So we just invented this great story. We've landed on this wonderful, wonderful story about a guy that sells ice cream. And what makes a man decide to start putting body parts in ice cream? Because on page 1, Craigie is not that man. Craigie is not a monster at the beginning of the movie. But yet things happen to the point where on about page 60, give or take, he decides to take out his meat cleaver and make Rocky Road ice cream the real organic way. You know. So anyway, we've developed it. We've just recently, even in the last couple of weeks, we've heard some great news as far as fully getting the thing off the ground. And we're technically in pre-production, and we're literally within the next couple of weeks on the verge of going into full-blown pre-production. And we're gonna probably shoot in early spring of 2026 and have it out into the marketplace as quick as possible, as quick as the distributors want us to have it in the marketplace. We're gonna have it. Well, we're excited about it.
I am very excited for us to revisit that world. Let's talk to the crowd for a little bit. Does anybody here have any questions for Clint Howard? All right.
I don't know if it was 1999, but the MTV had music awards, and they honored you with a Lifetime Achievement Award. Do you still have the Spaceman, and do you?
Well, then what? No, it was a golden bucket of popcorn.
Right.
And darn tootin', we have it. For a while we have it on the mantle of our fireplace, and that we replaced it kind of with family pictures and stuff. But it's prominently displayed in our house, and it's something I'm very proud of. And I'll give you a tiny little inside bit of trivia on that. This is a weird thing, because I was working on a like a Addams Family reunion movie. And it was April Fool's. It was April 1st when my agent called me and said, you know, the MTV people just contacted us, and they want to give you the Lifetime Achievement Award. And I literally remember telling Daryl, like, oh, don't bullshit me, Daryl. It's April Fool's. That's a good one. That's a really good one. He goes, no, they're very serious about it. They love your work, and they want to celebrate you. Now, granted, the year before they gave the award to Chewbacca.
Yeah.
So I understood this is not the Peabody Award or anything like that, but given the opportunity to be given an award, an opportunity to go up on stage and to speak to the industry and to the fans for a few minutes and thank them, I certainly said yes. And it was a great experience. I remember, it was a fun moment, and I have distinct memories of that evening, and it's something that people remember, and I appreciate you bringing it up,
I think the other part about that gets lost a little bit is, like you said, prior to this, the year prior, they gave it to Chewbacca, and maybe there was a satirical thing that they were working at, but you went up there and gave such a beautiful, heartfelt speech. They retired the award after that.
Yeah.
You were also the last person to get the Lifetime Achievement Award.
Yeah, they suspended giving the Lifetime Achievement Award because I went up there and took it seriously. And listen, I knew what it was. I was fully prepared, and I was going to have to give a speech. And of course, I knew it was MTV. I wanted to be hip and maybe tell a few jokes. And I wrote a speech that I thought was kind of funny and hip and clever. And I went over to my dad's house and I read it to him. And he said, that you're doing it wrong. You need to be genuine about the speech. Just treat the award like it was,
An Oscars.
Yes. Be humble, be grateful, thank the people. Isn't that how you feel? And I go, yeah, pretty much. He goes, well, just do that. So I went back home and I rewrote the speech to the speech that I said.
Yeah.
And my God, my dad had a touch. Because he nailed it. He nailed it. I was genuine. The audience appreciated it. I had Adam Sandler, gave me big giant hug, and Mike Myers, who I worked on their movies. Everybody embraced me. And maybe it was because of my genuine approach, and that was not my first instinct.
Yeah. No, I genuinely think that it is one of my favorite acceptance speeches in the world, because it is such a heartfelt moment that I really do think MTV said, we're never going to top this.
Well, thank you, man. I appreciate that. That's cool. And, God, there's, and I was really young. I mean, it's not like I'm some old crusty dinosaur getting a Lifetime Achievement Award. I mean, I was pretty much in the prime of my career. Yet I'd been working a long time. That's the thing. Jesus, you realize that in a couple of months, I will be fully in my 64th year as a professional actor. My first television appearance, I did it in 1961. And it appeared on television in 1962. So it's mind-boggling. I mean, I am in rarefied air.
Yeah.
And I say that with all humility. It's just, blows me away. And I want to keep satisfying the fans, keep making money. Because it is a business. Listen, I love entertaining people. But I love entertaining people because it's a way for me to make an income, because I have a wife and a daughter. And, listen, you want to do good. You want to bring home the bacon. Well, we don't eat bacon in our house, so we bring home the moolah. So anyway, that's just, I like doing it, and I want to keep doing it. Are there any more questions?
I was going to say, more questions out there?
Here's one, this fellow.
What are the aspects of acting that you enjoy a lot, and which are somewhat troublesome or frustrating?
What are your favorite and least favorite parts?
Wait,
of
are
acting?
you saying what are my favorite and least favorite?
Yeah,
Yeah.
aspects of being
An actor.
an actor. Yeah.
Well, I love nailing it. Because I'm an audience, and I love it when I feel like, yeah, that was good. I've had it several times in my life where I've been in a situation with top quality actors where I feel like the material's really cooking. My scenes with Ed Harris in Apollo 13, I just felt like there was, we were dialed in, man, and it was cooking. And I really appreciate that. And then in the exact opposite way, when I feel like that I've left something on the table, when the scene is over and everybody says, oh, that's great, Clint, time for lunch, and I go kind of feeling empty in my stomach. And it's a little less now than it used to be, but I went through a period in my middle age, in my 30s and 40s, where I was not satisfied as an actor, as a person with a job. I was not satisfied because I would go home every night thinking, oh, I should have done better. Which is, it eats at you. Now, I've learned over time that I must be doing something right because I keep getting hired. And I keep getting people with smiles on their faces coming up and saying I'm good. And I appreciate that. So I got to park my thinking and go, well, I must be okay because people like me. But generally, sometimes driving home after a day of work and feeling like I've underachieved, it's just a bad feeling. And I'll give you one more example, and there might not be too many people that have seen this, but it was a short film that I did that Michael Keaton directed, and it was on the David Letterman Film Festival. And you can go and look at it on YouTube. It's called But I'm Happy, directed by Michael Keaton. And it was this little fun short that he wrote, and he took it seriously. He wrote it and directed it. And he asked me if I would be in his short. I said, sure, I'd love to, Michael. He's a good guy. And I went and I worked on his short, and it was all day. We filmed down in Santa Monica at a carpet store, at a carpet sales store. And I remember distinctly driving home thinking, God, I really let him down. that was really not, I didn't do good. I wish I was better. I wasn't as prepared as I should have been. I was really hard on myself. And then a couple of months later, I saw it. And I went, wow, that's really good. And that next morning, the director from The Wraith called my agent and said, I just saw one of your clients on the David Letterman Film Festival, and I want to hire him to be in The Wraith. It was Mike Martin. So that reminded me at that age that from my chair as an actor, sometimes I don't know my performance. You know, because look at it. I've got everything going on in my head. I got all the dialogue I'm trying to sort out. I got business I have to remember to do. Did I have a good lunch? Did my lunch? I don't like the way I feel right now. And now it's time for me to act. And I'm trying to process all this stuff. That's not a very good position to be a viewer of my work. I have to also then just accept that my position, my chair, is not the best. Let the director be the judge. Let the audience be the judge. So anyway, those are things I've had to practice over the years. I saw another hand.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I saw another one back.
Yes.
I was just wondering, you worked with Rob Zombie, so how did that start, and like, what was your experience like working with him?
How'd you get started with Zombie?
Okay, Rob's a champ. He really is. He's a really good dude. And the first time I met Rob Zombie, it was at one of these conventions. It was a pop convention in Los Angeles at the Beverly Garland Hotel. It was one of the first conventions I'd ever done. And I was probably 30 years old at the time. And I'm there signing autographs, and up to my table walks Johnny Ramone. And he looked like Johnny Ramone. And I, thought, Johnny, what are you doing here? Because I'd worked on Rock and Roll High School with him. And next to him was this long-haired guy with a scraggly beard, and I didn't know who he was. And Johnny goes, oh, we're just here collecting posters. This is my friend Rob Zombie. So at that day, I met Rob, and he must have taken a liking to me. We talked for a few minutes, and then later on, I had the chance to work on a film that he did, and then he called me to work. He was directing a commercial, and he called me one day and he said, hey Clint, I'm here in the producer's office of this commercial that I'm getting ready to direct. And they said, we're looking for a Clint Howard type. And Rob said, I happen to have Clint Howard's phone number in my phone. Would you like me to call him? And they said, would you? And so I'm calling you now. Would you like to be in this commercial? I said, sure, Rob. Listen, the thing about Rob is he looks like Rob Zombie. He is the most astute, concentrated filmmaker. He's on par with any other filmmaker I've ever worked with. He doesn't answer his cell phone. He doesn't bullshit around. It's all about satisfying the story and getting the job done on time. What you got to realize about movie making is we are all beholden to the investment. We've been given X amount of dollars to make a movie. We have to respect the investment that we are given to tell our story. If we don't respect the money, if we don't make it our job to get the thing done on time and on schedule, because that would be like spitting in the face of your parents. They're the ones giving you the chance, and you don't respect them. No, so I'm a big believer. When I'm going to be the co-director of another Ice Cream Man, and I'm going to be, I'm going to have to do the best quality job I can do, but I'm also going to get the thing in on time and on budget, because otherwise we wouldn't be making a movie if it wasn't for the people that invested in us. So anyway, that's how I feel about that.
Talking about Ice Cream Man and another Ice Cream Man, you're going to be doing some pretty exciting photo opportunities at this convention. Right after this panel, actually, you'll be doing some in costume as well as some outside, out front of the hotel with an ice cream truck. And I mention that because we do have a very strict cutoff time. So if you have a question that you want to ask Clint Howard, you've got roughly 10 minutes left to get that question. So throw up a hand if you have a question for Clint.
Do you have another one? No? You're just scratching your chin?
Yeah.
There we go.
We have one, here, this gentleman and then this gentleman.
Is what is the main difference between being on a big budgeted English film and being on a small budget B movie? What's the biggest difference in that experience?
In my opinion, first of all, you should give your best effort, whatever. Whether it's a student film or whether it's a friggin' big studio movie with, whoever. You should give it your best effort. Now, this is the one thing I've identified over the years. When it's a little independent movie and they've come to me saying, Clint, will you be in my movie? Will you please help? I tend to be a little more relaxed, and I tend to, I'll make this baseball analogy. As a pitcher, if I'm being asked to pitch in a big studio movie, they've hired me to be their pitcher, I'm gonna throw strikes. I'm gonna take that baseball and I'm gonna get it over the plate. Now, if I'm working on a small little independent movie, I'll tend to nibble at the corners a little bit. I might be a little more daring in an independent movie. I might be a little chancier. I may throw that 2-ball no strike curve. I may just, as opposed to like when I worked on the Adam Sandler movies and I worked on the Austin Powers movies. These are, although the first Austin Powers movie was a low budget movie, but the big studio movies, you tend to want to play it safe, and I gotta watch that because they didn't necessarily hire safe. They hired the best. So it's just my take on what they want. So anyway, that's kind of my take on it.
I'm just curious, as you were mentioning certain roles that you auditioned for, and in auditioning for really anything and putting yourself out there, obviously you're hoping for the best, but obviously there's a room full of other people, hopefuls. In your storied career, is there any role that kind of nags at you, like, I really, really still wish I could have got that. Because I've seen the finished product and I could have done something different, or it would have been a different outcome. Is there one that one film or role that just got away that you really still think about?
Did you say 1 dozen?
The one that
No, there's a bunch. Listen, you gotta understand. At my very best as a young person, I was only getting about 20% of the auditions I went on. So I would have to go on 10 to 15 auditions to book a couple of jobs. So that means there were lots of times where I went in and auditioned and felt like I was really good, and they said thanks but no thanks. And I'll give you some of the highlights, some of the sexy ones. And there's some of these are old, and there was a film that Peter Bogdanovich directed, and I'm brain locking right now on the name of it. It was Randy Quaid ended up playing the part. My goodness. Last Picture Show.
Yeah.
I auditioned to play the slow guy in Last Picture Show. And Peter Bogdanovich, I went in and actually had a couple of auditions. I thought it would be a really cool part. Play this kind of, somewhat, retarded guy. And they ended up hiring Randy Quaid. And Randy was great in it. I love Randy. I worked with Randy twice, and so I wasn't mad at that. But I thought I would like to have played that part. There was a movie called Ace, Eli, and Rogers of the Sky. And it was Cliff Robertson and a guy named Eric Shea. Eric Shea played the boy. And Cliff Robertson played this barnstormer. He had his son. And they flew around the country. And listen, it was a movie and it was pretty forgettable, although Steven Spielberg was an associate producer on the movie. I didn't realize that at the time, but he had somehow attached himself to this movie. But the reason why I wanted to be in AC Line Rogers of the Sky is it was a coming of age story for this boy. And in the movie, Eli gets laid. And I hadn't had that experience yet. I thought that'd be just a Jim Dandy role to play. And I wanted to be Eli. So that kind of irritated me. There was a movie called Twister. And I went to 2 or 3 different auditions. And they ended up giving the part to Philip Seymour Hoffman. And although I've always thought he was a wonderful, wonderful actor, I mean, his role in Capote was, you know, Truman was just awesome. And I wish I would have played that part. And there's one famous one, and it's kind of out there. I've told the story before, but in 1975 or 1976, I auditioned for Star Wars. George Lucas had made American Graffiti. Now, I hadn't met George, but then George had the opportunity to make Star Wars. And George knew who I was, so did the casting director knew who I was. And they auditioned me. This is way before there was videotape. And so you didn't send in videotape, you went in and auditioned. I went to the Fox studio lot one afternoon, and there must have been 20 or 30 guys standing around waiting to go in to audition for Luke Skywalker. And I swear to God, I'll never forget this, Mark Hamill was in the crowd. And I had met Mark Hamill because we're about the same age, and we auditioned for the same parts when we were kids. So I was standing around and finally got my opportunity. I walked into the room, and the first thing I see is Francis Ford Coppola sitting in a chair right here to my left. And he was he's still alive, obviously, but he's a larger-than-life man. And getting to look at him was like, my God, Francis is in the room. And a guy named Gino Havens was in the room. And a guy named Fred Roos was in the room. And I knew Fred Roos he was a casting associate on the Andy Griffith Show. Now, Fred was a longtime friend of both Francis's and George. Now, at the moment, I didn't see George Lucas. George Lucas was in a leather chair turned around. And I came into the room, I recognized who was there, and all of a sudden, his chair spun around, and he looked right at me. It was George Lucas. He looked me in the eye, and he went, Commander Baylock, Corbomite maneuver. And in my mind, I went, fuck, George, get an effing life. Because you see, I did that episode of Star Trek when I was 6 or 7 years old. I was a baby. And here I was trying to get an adult job. And the director is hearkening back to me as a baby. I was pissed. It threw me off. I didn't audition well. I obviously didn't get the job. Mark did a great job being Luke Skywalker. And I wasn't pissed off, but it was like, Jesus, George, get a fucking life. Well, as it turned out, George had a pretty good life. And you know, funny enough, I had the opportunity to, later in life, I spent time with Fred Roos before he passed away. And he had all the casting notes. He was one of these guys, it was like he kept a scorecard from every day that he ever did casting. And he had the casting notes of me, you know, doing the audition. So Fred didn't really remember that I auditioned. They were auditioning hundreds of people. And I also, later in life, I've had a chance to spend time with George Lucas. And I asked George, I said, George, you remember me auditioning? He goes, no. No, they don't. I sure did. So anyway, those are my auditions. Yes, I've had numerous casting situations that just didn't turn out.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for this time. While we're at this horror convention and I'm wrapping up, I do want to give a shout out to what I think is an unsung masterpiece in your horror acting catalog. It's a film from 2015 called The Funhouse Massacre that I absolutely adore. I think that movie is fantastic. You're one of the leads in it. If any of you have not seen this movie, please go check it out because you are going to see one of Clint's finest acting roles.
Thank you. It was great. Funhouse Massacre. It delivers on the gore, delivers on the scares, the jump scares. It's got a great sense of humor. It's fun. There's a fellow named Mars Crane who plays this giant of a man. And it's like 6 psychopaths that break out of an insane asylum. Isn't Robert Englund in that movie?
Robert Englund's in it too, yeah.
So these 6 psychopaths break out of an insane asylum and go down to this fun house, this fake fun house.
Like a haunted attraction on Halloween, basically. It's a Halloween night movie.
And we kill all the actors that are supposed to be scaring people, and we take over and we really start massacring them. It's a fun picture.
It's a really fun movie. Go check it out and go get your photographs with Clint Howard right after this panel. Thank you so much, Clint. Let's give it up for him one more time.